Blue Book Gentlemen Chronicles, Podcast, Episode 2, French Culture, Exploring Literature and Art. Welcome, gentlemen and refined souls of the world, to Blue Book Gentlemen Chronicles, a gentleman's guide to timeless international excellence. With your host, Prometheus Worley, prepare yourself to embark upon a magnificent journey where sophistication, elegance, and a refined sense of taste unify the classical with the contemporary. In staying true to the gentleman's ethos of self-improvement through continual learning and a love for exploring all aspects of global culture, today we are going to take a quick cultural immersive trip through the fascinating world of French culture. This is going to be a three-part series in which we briefly immerse ourselves into some aspects of French history to try to gain a better understanding of French culture. Our focus today is literature and art. Some of the authors you may be familiar with, and others you may be not. Either way, our brief stroll through French history is guaranteed to be a memorable one. French Culture, Exploring Literature and Art, Part 1. The first writers we will explore are those who have been both banned at times and/or jailed for their debaucherous literary works. The French writers associated with the decadent movement represent a fascinating spectrum of bold, transgressive, and deeply imaginative minds who pushed the boundaries of literature, morality, and aesthetics during their time. Each contributed uniquely to the spirit of decadence, a celebration of beauty, artifice, and the dark intricacies of human desire. Marquis de Sade, 1740 to 1814, often regarded as a precursor to decadence, shocked his contemporaries with works that explored themes of extreme libertinism and moral transgression, such as Justine and the 120 Days of Sodom. His unflinching exploration of power, perversity, brutality, and unapologetic sadistic pleasures bordered on spiritual ecstasy for him, cementing his influence on later decadent and surrealist writers. Albert Aurier, 1865 to 1892, though better known as an art critic, infused his poetry and essays with symbolism and decadent themes. A fervent supporter of Van Gogh and Gauguin, he applied decadent ideals to visual arts, emphasizing the subjective experience of beauty and mystery. Laurent Tailhaid, 1854 to 1919, gained notoriety for his scathing satires and scandalous aphorisms. An anarchist and wit, he often attacked bourgeois values in his poetry and prose, blending decadence with political critique. Jules Barbet d'Aurevilly, 1808 to 1889, combined Gothic sensibilities with decadent themes in novels like The Crimson Curtain and Against Nature. A devout Catholic, his works often grappled with the tension between sin and redemption, making him a complex figure within the movement. Charles Baudelaire, 1821 to 1867, often seen as the father of decadence, revolutionized poetry with his seminal collection, Les Fleurs du Mal. His works glorified beauty in decay, eroticism, and ennui, becoming a touchstone for later decadent and symbolist authors. Léon Bloy, 1846 to 1917, stood apart with his apocalyptic and mystical writings. His works, such as The Pilgrim of the Absolute, blended religious fervor with a biting critique of materialism, embodying a spiritual dimension to decadence. Rémy de Gourmont, 1858 to 1915, a pioneering critic and essayist, was central to decadent intellectual life. His Decadence and Other Essays on the Culture of Ideas explored aesthetic and philosophical themes that bridged decadence and modernism. Joris Karl Huysmans, 1848 to 1907, epitomized decadence with A Rebours, Against Nature, a novel that celebrated aesthetic excess and the rejection of conventional morality. His later turn to Catholicism brought spiritual depth to his exploration of decadence. Jean Lorrain, 1855 to 1906, scandalized Parisian society with his openly homosexual lifestyle and decadent novels, including Monsieur de Focus. His works explored themes of vanity, sexual deviance, and the grotesque. Catulle Mendes, 1841–1909, a prolific poet and playwright, embraced decadence with a focus on lush imagery and sensuality. His support of the movement extended to promoting its ideals through his editorial work. Octave Mirbeau, 1848–1917, blended decadence with social critique in works like The Torture Garden, which satirized colonialism and hypocrisy while exploring sadomasochistic themes in lush, disturbing prose. Rachilde, 1860–1953, the pseudonym of Marguerite Valette Aimery, was one of the few prominent female voices in decadence. Her controversial novel, Monsieur Venus, shocked readers with its inversion of gender roles and exploration of sexuality. Together, these French writers defined and enriched the decadent movement, weaving threads of beauty, decay, rebellion, and erotic mysticism into a tapestry that continues to fascinate and provoke.